I should look in the camera to start. Hi, today I'm on the couch with thespian and theatrical performer, bachelor holder in English.
Bachelor holder, full stop. I hold bachelors.
Yes, just the one, including the book she read once. One time. Carissa Isom, and we are talking about the 2022 horror movie Men, written and directed by Alex Garland.
Incomparable.
Yeah, you can reach for it. Actually, before you reach for it, here's a clip. We don't have a clip.
Couldn't get the copyright.
We didn't have a clip. That's okay.
Be like drunk history, but like drunk on the couch movie reviews.
Yeah, but I don't think you're drunk, nor I.
No.
But we could.
The potential's there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
We can get to that point. We can build up to it. Speaking of building up, Alex Garland's Men.
Alex Garland's Men.
What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to start?
Part of me wants to start at the beginning. I mean, the end is the most confusing part, but I think I actually finally got somewhere with it.
Did you crack the code?
I don't know if I cracked the code, but I definitely found a theory that I think really nails a lot of what's going on.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to start with that or build up to it. Sorry.
Let's start with it, because what's going on is understandable, right? Like, we get what's going on, but you're talking about what's really going on?
Or maybe like the purpose.
The point?
Maybe like why it's happening.
Why?
Because what is obvious. It's horrifyingly obvious. So maybe the why.
So why is it? Why did Alex Garland want to make this movie? Why?
No, why did he end it like that?
Oh,
why
okay.
is the climax scene like that?
The climax, as far as the birthing climax?
Yes, specifically the birthing.
Okay, yes. Let's start with that, because I want to talk about birthing.
Maybe you should go first.
About birthing?
Or about
the
what
whole
you thought
thing?
at the end.
I thought it was great. I like so I told you this before. I feel like Men is a movie that just builds steadily, and it doesn't do this like part one drama lull, drama lull, drama lull. It's kind of just like a steady climb. And I like, as much as I hate Sunshine's third act, I really like devolving into the weird with Alex Garland movies.
Yeah. You shaping the narrative like that actually really kind of changed the way that I was viewing it too, because you're totally right.
Yeah.
And on the second viewing, I was like, I mean, I guess I saw it with you, but
we've collectively seen it 4 times between us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's too many times.
Wait, is this full of water or is this empty?
It's empty.
Okay, I'm just gonna move it because I don't know if it's gonna affect.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I don't think it's gonna do anything.
Hello.
Mochi. Okay, so that's all I had to say about that. So
about the end?
No, well, about the birthing.
Yeah.
Well, so I told you what I thought. That I thought as a climax, like why we were seeing the birthing was, one, the cyclical nature of this generational issue of what is to be male.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, I don't think this was intentional, but like, just, I like the idea of the reality of it might be that men are giving birth to men, especially in the era of Roe versus Wade getting overturned. How if women really don't have autonomy with their choices and their bodies and birthing, then it's technically men who are creating laws, and so men are birthing men, in a way, not like literally, but I think in terms of like the dominance of male culture and
who makes decisions and who controls what gets proliferated.
Yeah, and women don't have choice in that.
Yeah, and I think because it starts with that archaic sort of pagan god image, and I don't know if that's what he was going for, but it feels like the first one that comes out of the hedges.
Yeah, which I want to talk about that later.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
Jeez. I don't know. But it comes like from this like pagan godlike figure to like the steps to this like, modern London man. Like it ends with James. Yeah. Who is like this modern London man. Right? So I think you're right. Yeah.
So I didn't see that. I didn't see like the dawn of man. Because so the green guy, right? And that's like a cultural, mythological thing in that. Like he's called like the Green Man or something. It's like a like a pagan thing.
Well, yeah, and it's like, this is a stupid question. Maybe Ashley should chime in on this too. But like, the Green Man in the end, when he gives birth, is that stone figure we were seeing the whole time, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I got. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought too.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's obviously some sort of deity, right? Because it was in a church.
Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to, like, looking it up, it's supposed to represent like nature and shit, and
that makes sense.
And so I was starting to think, like, well, so is this showing that, like, how connected, like is men and, like, what is it to be male and the terror of that so organically imbued into what is the natural world?
Ooh.
Right? And that, and because, so I always get the sense that, like, that pagan nature, naked man, is not I don't know. He's not like the others in a sense. Like, I think he just represents, like,
I agree,
this more primal idea than like a person, but it's still still a male presence.
Yeah, he also doesn't speak.
No,
not once. Yeah, which makes it feel more primal.
He just says.
I also was thinking about, like, how voyeurism plays into this movie, and, like, how voyeurism, like, relates to genders, because I think his role is to be, like, the voyeuristic one, because he just watches her.
Yeah,
he just stares.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, like, I don't know,
observations
into, like,
because
theories.
you mentioned get into theories because you mentioned like observation with him before.
Yeah, so, like, how voyeurism is, like, you know, it's the act of, like, viewing, but there's usually, like, a sexual connotation to it, and there's usually, like, a sinister connotation to it, right?
It's a crime, actually,
voyeurism. Yeah, totally. But, like, as, like, a theory, voyeurism, like, we talk about voyeurism a lot when you talk about, like, I don't know, just there's, like, a lot of stories where there's, like, subversion? Subverted? Not overt. Like voyeurism, right?
Yeah.
So I was reading this book called The Pornography of Meat, which is surprisingly exactly what you think it's going to be about. It's
the Maroon 5 music video? I'll show you later. It's a real point, but yeah, no, not that.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's like sex in the food industry, which is really interesting. So in the book it says, it's talking about the increasing nudity of women in mainstream films. So women are naked, nude, or bare. Men are uncovered. When a man is shown nude, the reaction is that he is extremely vulnerable. He may feel anxious, inadequate. Women's bodies become public, but men's bodies are to remain their private property. There is something of a power trip in stripping women and keeping men covered and safe. So I feel like that's kind of plays into the gendered idea of voyeurism, is that, like, women are this, like, thing to be consumed, which is why it's so interesting that he's the naked one.
Keep going.
But it's almost
because he's not he's on an active
he's the one making it. I guess if you equate nudity with sexuality, he's the one making it sexual, or he's the one, like, uncovered, but he's the one doing the voyeuring. Yeah.
So maybe that's supposed to make us feel a certain way, like a juxtaposed.
Or is it just, like, the overt threatening of, like, the male naked body? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was threatened by it, but I don't know if that's because of my bias and, like, how I feel like I was supposed to read that. Because I guess there's something that happened that was inherently threatening. But it felt threatening.
But I think that's the thing, right? With maybe the idea of men, nothing's really, like, men in society, nothing needs to happen when you walk past somebody, or nothing threatening organically happens when your cashier at Walmart is a guy.
Right.
But that threat can exist, and does, maybe?
Yeah.
Is inherent?
There's nothing. I think this is, like, in the scene when she's in the forest too, is because nothing threatening is happening until there is a male presence. And then it is threatening.
Okay.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Are you talking about the tunnel?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the tunnel.
Ooh.
Tunnels.
Make that sound.
Okay. So tunnels, so Spirited Away, right? She goes through the tunnel, she enters this magical, beautiful place, and it's like this spiritual transformation, right? I think that's like obvious with Miyazaki stuff. It's like so
Spirited Away. It's a transitional sort of
transformative,
yeah.
Like so, there's this idea of transformation as you're going through something, and you come out on the other end,
right?
You know? But also like it's a gateway sort of thing,
yeah.
And so there's this really obvious like beautiful moments where she's like getting back in touch with nature and like finding herself, and she's going on this trip to heal from this incident with James, and it's like building up to this really private and like soul-fulfilling moment where she's like echoing to herself and in a sense like finding her voice again, and it's really beautiful, and it's almost like if she gets, because I think the goal is that she was going to go through this tunnel,
right, and
she doesn't, and because as she begins her journey into the dark, it is, as you said, interrupted, perverted by a man who we never really identified. It's just the idea.
It's just a male presence. Doesn't matter which one it is.
Yeah. And it blocks her ability to reach that stage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
I had not thought of that.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I was sort of conceiving of the tunnel as, I mean, okay, I'm also kind of obsessed with liminal spaces and occupying liminal spaces.
Which I don't understand fully, so you and Ashley will have to talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I guess like a liminal space is just like, it's like a threshold. It's like this go-between space. You're not really meant to occupy it. It's like something that you go, it's like between two places or two ideas. And so you're not really meant to live there.
It's supposed to be a passage to something else?
Yeah, it's just like something, but it's certainly something that you have to pass through in order to like get to somewhere else and like vice versa. So like, I think another thing liminal spaces do for us is like set boundaries around our world, whether those are like real or conceived. And I kind of think that like in a lot of ways we love boundaries. We like love boundaries. Like we love being contained, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, humans like that.
Yeah, I think
they like the
really
idea of the finite. Like beginning and ends.
Yeah. So things that like disrupt that, things that show you that borders are constructed and not real, I think are inherently kind of horrifying. And I think one of the things that this movie, well, I'm about to talk about the end, so never mind.
No, you can talk
about
the end.
Liminal spaces are important.
Okay, so talk about liminal spaces applying to the end of men.
Well, I guess like borders apply to the end, right?
Okay.
So boundaries. Like boundaries, yeah.
Like are you talking about like the physical boundaries?
Physical or constructed, like
male vaginas.
I was going to talk about male vaginas.
Go for it. Male vaginas.
Bacchusy. That's what Ashley
said.
Bacchusy. So this concept that I'm so like obsessed with, this idea of abject horror. I was like, I'm just so obsessed with it. I'm worried that I'm like going to start talking about something that takes way too much explanation, though.
It doesn't. No, we're fine. We'll have a 2-minute warning.
A 2-minute warning?
Well, when we get to 2 minutes.
Limit?
Yeah. We have
this is just going to be straight through?
Yeah.
We don't cut any of it?
I mean, we can, but...
Oh, Jesus Christ. I wasn't prepared.
we can cut tons of stuff. We can cut it all. We can just not post this.
Well, okay, I'll do my best to really, really simplify it. So
at the same time, no pressure.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk really fast. I'm just going to talk about this. But abject horror is just this idea that... so abject horror does two things. First of all, it is the what's horrific about it is that, like, the border of self and object becomes deteriorated. And that's a border that we like, a boundary that we like, that we're comfortable with. Like, I am me, you are you. This is a blanket, it is not me. The abject is sort of defined in what it isn't, because it's not me, right? And so, like, a lot of body horror ends up being abject horror because, like, hair on my head is mine. This is my hair. I think it's kind of pretty, right? It's fine. Hair that I have to pull out of my drain like this is horrifying and disgusting and revolting. And we have a biological reaction to things that, like, shed from us. So we have, like, gag reflexes and, like, vomit. You know what I mean? Because to protect us from this, like, myself is now out here and I'm horrified by it.
Because I can't understand it if it's outside myself because
Yeah, or the boundary between self and outside has been ruined because this is myself, but it's not myself at all.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it does that, but it also does this thing where it is like about like boundaries, like death is a form of abject horror because it's death intruding into life. Like it should be there, but then there's a corpse, right? And so like but then she goes on to say, right, it is thus not a lack of cleanliness or help that causes objection, but what disturbs identity system order, what does not respect borders, positions, rules, the in-between, the ambiguous, the composite. So I think the end sort of obliterates this boundary between masculine and feminine because this oppressively masculine entity, and we don't even know what it is. We can't agree on what it is.
All for one, one for all.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, the entity is masculine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in the climax of the horror, it adopts really specifically feminine traits.
And not just specific feminine traits, like the most
the biological
critical
marker. And also here I'm talking about like the I had to write it down because I was really scared about being like trans exclusive. But I'm talking about masculine and feminine as they exist in the symbolic realm, not in like the political personal realm. Yes, the symbolic realm. So the climax shreds the boundary that we have falsely constructed between masculine and feminine because that's fake. It's not really there, right? But then also abjection does this other thing where because it's about this like self-shedding crisis, it is kind of a specifically feminine idea because we all experienced the horror of being ripped away from ourselves when we were born.
So that's an objection of itself. It's to be born from a person.
To have a self is like this moment of abjection that was horrifying.
So it's like twofold a horror because it's taking what is critically feminine and personally feminine, making it masculine, and also on top of, and then shedding itself from itself, so it's this double.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
So you love it.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
I hate watching it, but I love it.
It's burned into my brain.
And
I'm happy about it. I think it's great.
I think it's great. Yeah. The immemorial violence with which a body becomes separated from another body in order to be. That's exactly
that happens.
Birth.
Yes. 6 times.
And so it's like this. We've been watching this entire movie about like threatening masculinity, and then all of a sudden, it flips to abject feminine horror.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
You and Alex should talk and make something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got it right.
I mean,
if there's a right or wrong.
I don't think there is a right or wrong, but
I think you got it right.
The whole movie made me think of
oh shoot.
Did we go over time?
No, I just didn't start the timer, so I have no clue what's going on.
Oh,
well. Can I bring up something that I think is slightly relevant but not super relevant?
Yes.
Okay, it's not super relevant.
Very relevant.
But I wanted to talk about a line that I think is really important to the movie. So when she's talking with the Vickers, and here's the terrible thing. Never mind, her name's Harper. I always call her Jessie Buckley because I can't remember her characters. I was like, I can't remember her name.
Jessie Buckley!
So I fucked up. So
the Vicar was the scariest iteration, I think, in the movie. Like, he was the scariest iteration of, like, Rory Kinnear. To me. Like, he was super creepy.
I think visually the kid was, to me.
Yeah.
Just,
was it creepy because it was a little
uncanny.
kid?
He was uncanny.
That's what I was going to say,
That's why. So when she's talking to the Vickers, she's talking about James when he's fallen over the railing, right? And that moment where she thought they saw each other. And she says, I thought we saw each other, but I don't think he saw me. I don't know if that's even possible. And I think that is like the whole kind of an extraction of the whole point of like the male inability to identify or see the female perspective. Especially what she's going through, right? Like, because I don't think it was about him falling. I was like, I don't know if it was possible that he saw me.
It was like capital S, saw.
Saw me, like, right? Yeah.
Like
more than the
fall.
Saw. Like the relationship, the fall from the relationship.
Yeah.
The dynamic, the relationship for men and women. I don't know if they saw me. I don't know if men see me.
Is the relationship between men and women, like a form of objection because we're horrified by this self that is us but not us?
Maybe. You know, it's funny. I love that quote, and I say it a lot. And it's not a quote, but I think it's George Miller, the guy who directed Mad Max Fury Road. It's just like, men are terrified of women because men can't give birth. And like that's where all the hate towards women stems from. Maybe I did start a timer.
Sounds like you started a timer.
Let me check real quick.
Is it like a jealousy thing?
Yeah, like a jealousy thing. Like that's like we're not able to control. No, we got 8 minutes left.
I'm not sure if I buy that.
I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah. You know, I heard...
what if men could give birth?
Abortions would be legal. I know you're not talking about that. Yeah. But,
They would be.
They absolutely would be. But, I once heard it, like... Okay, actually, I probably shouldn't say this because I don't know how to explain it. But, so... I think a lot of times in, like, Western society, women, maybe not a lot of times, but I think that's, like, maybe subconscious way, or maybe it's just me, that women get, like, sort of, we're, like, this, like, vessel that is to be filled. So, like, I'm not trying to be too graphic, but, like, a vagina is a vessel that gets, like, filled with, like, a phallus, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, your uterus is empty and gets, like, filled with, like, a male... Like, a male part like, does that, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, this, like, there's, like, this fear that, like, we are, like, very fragile and, like, very fillable in, like, a kind of threatening way. But I heard this, I think it was an Eastern philosophy, or an Eastern, like, sort of theory, which is that, like, actually, men enter a woman, and they are, like, entering the woman's space, and in that moment, the woman has, like, complete control, that because they are in an entirely feminine space in the moment of like coitus, and like that's where the fear comes from.
That is kind of terrifying.
It's kind of interesting. Like, yeah, I see both sides. Yeah, I don't want that. Having sex with women is gay.
Didn't somebody just say something stupid like that, like legitimately? No, that is terrifying.
Yeah. Anyway, but I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah. Here, I had a couple more notes for you. I was going to ask you that thing, but we already got clarified at dinner. Was Jesus the original toxic manipulator?
Jesus is the man.
Jesus started this whole, like, I died for your sins. You better kiss my ass.
That's why we have to get a divorce. That's because you're saying that, Jesus. I like Jesus. Jesus is pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is an overreach.
Great.
So at the beginning of the movie, it opens with a camera on Harper in the kitchen, beautiful orange lighting, and she's still, everything's still, and then she jumps at the sound of the music starting.
Oh yeah.
Not James falling through the window.
Right.
She jumps at the cue of the music starting.
Right.
Why?
Dude, the audience's relationship with like the external world of the audience and like the internal world of a movie has such an interesting relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess I hadn't thought about that moment, but like I said this in the theater, we're the only ones that know it's only Rory Kinnear. Mm-hmm. We're the only ones that acknowledge that. And
because I don't think Harper's character sees them all as Rory Kinnear,
no,
but
that's
we
yeah. And like the Rory Kinnears do not acknowledge that they're all Rory
because
Kinnear.
I think they are all technically different people.
Right.
But we have this
we
understanding.
Know that.
We're let in on the secret.
And it's like we know it's background music, but like she's not supposed to, but she does.
But so
she reacts to it,
right? but so why? So it's an interesting choice. And again, this is an overreach. Even in the film of Harper's journey and overcoming and healing or whatnot, the director, who's male, controls her.
Oh,
I don't know. Anyway,
I was kind of thinking, no, that's not an overreach at all. I think that there's a lot to probably pick apart with the audience's relationship. I was also thinking maybe it's a border thing. Maybe there isn't like he tears down the border between like a movie construct and like the movie of the world, which are supposed to be separate.
Yeah. That could be. That seems more like.
I was also thinking that like this feels like a very important movie, and like it feels like it kind of like opens it shows very explicitly like things that are hidden about like the female experience. And yet completely centers men. The movie is literally called Men. There are 5 faces in the movie, and 3 of them are male.
And guess who hates this movie?
Men. Like men are somehow still centered in this conversation in a way.
I mean, I think that's the issue. It's not women.
Yeah. That's not called Women.
Yeah.
It's a different movie.
Here's another note. Irrelevant. All of Harper's outfits were on fleek. It's just like, I want to get a cow sweater. Cute. They are. Like, I really...
Pants. Yeah,
huh?
Her pants were super cute.
They were, yeah. And comfy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked super comfy.
She was so cute the whole time. Am I being sexist?
No, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Can you be?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Oh, okay. And this one's obvious, kind of. So the song at the beginning, dun, dun, which reminds me a lot of the Annihilation song.
Yep, me too.
So the opening song is a female vocalist, and the ending song is a male vocalist. The same song.
It's the same song?
It's the same song, but the beginning song is a female vocalist, the end song is a male vocalist. What do you think about that?
Whoa! This is the first time I'm hearing that information.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's relevant. I think it shows.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Because I think, obviously, like, Harper's character at the end is exhausted by this reality. Like, completely exhausted, fed up, you know, like, almost powerless, but not.
What was the comment that you made about her reaction during the birthing scene? She almost looked... You used a specific word.
I don't know, like, tired, fed up.
It was something like that, yeah, but she's just, like... Or almost, like, accepting of it. She's just, like...
Defeated by,
maybe that's what it was. Defeated,
I think a lot of people have criticisms that like, oh, her character completely changed. I was like, no, her character came to the reality of like, this is fucking it. This is the world in which I live. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think
that's another like subversion that happens. It's like the male female dynamic completely flips on its head in the birth scene, and then like the songs flip too.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Maybe it's like not like the difference. I don't know. I'm onto something where it's maybe like the point is that it's not gendered.
Maybe it's not.
Like
maybe that's the
trick. Not gendered.
What if we all got fucking duped?
Maybe it is like that one guy said in the article I read that I was horrified by. That it was like, this movie's about how women drive men crazy.
That could be it. So we have an audience question for you from incel _Joaquin's Joker. 69420 asks Carissa. This movie's so stupid, says incel. Joaquin's Joker. Men are bad, we get it. A lot of people think this movie's pretty mediocre, and I think it's actually...
Really?
Yeah. Most general people think this movie is mediocre to, I think, sucks. I think... The average Reddit score on it was like maybe a median 6 or 7, which is, again, not the audience for it, especially with how young Reddit is.
Yeah, no kidding.
But what do you say to incel Joker? Incel Joaquin's Joker. Men are bad, we get it. This movie sucks.
I got home from seeing it the first time without you, I went home and I was talking to Jacob about how blown away I was that like how blown away I was that I don't mean, okay, I'm gonna say this and it's gonna sound like I'm being really dramatic, but how blown away I was that like all of these things that I have experienced in real life in real time were captured on film in a horror film, and like the way that I feel about them too. Like everything in that movie has happened to me or another woman that I know, and actually the fact that it's a horror movie and every interaction is very subtle is what the whole fucking problem is. We all know rape is bad. We all know that. But like, do we all know how fucking weird and gross it is when you're being shown around a house and the landlord is like, ladies, watch what you flush, because it's only ever men that say that. Have you ever heard a woman say that to you?
No.
Ever? I've never had a woman say that to me in my entire life.
No.
And it's so uncomfortable. And like just how we captured all of these moments, these tiny, tiny moments that make you feel icky and gross as a woman, and they were so honest. And, like, those are the problems. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I thought it was a fucking important movie.
I think it was. I think those are the problems. I think the chivalry, white knight-ness of, let me get your bags, don't worry about it, let me chill.
Oh my god.
I think the female officer saying, he's harmless. I don't pay him any mind.
Yeah.
You know, I think he, and like you said, you complimented how well written and spot on and very specific, because it's not a huge screenplay. It doesn't feel like there's not a lot of dialogue in it to me.
I don't think there's a moment of wasted dialogue though. I think that movie is actually very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's one accident in that movie. It felt very intentional to me.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It was great. It was really good.
That's wild that people don't see it.
And so Joaquin's Joker.
Okay,
that's it. That's our 30 minutes. So thank you for having you on. Part of me wanted to do like this slow-mo zoom where I'm like, thank you. All right.
Wow, there's so much. Yeah, that movie.
Yeah, there's more to talk about, but
that movie is so much.
Yeah.
Shot by shot.
It was great. I'm glad I saw it in Utah with there's two other people that came in like 20 minutes late, and I think they were just trying to make out and be like cutesy because it's Utah and they don't have a safe place to do.
It's like a spooky.
And I was like, you guys better not start fucking banging each other in the front aisle, but they weren't. But they were just like cuddly, and it's like, don't ruin this experience. And I couldn't wait
to cuddle movie.
Yeah, well, it's not. But like, you don't really know that until like, I don't know. They missed the first 20 minutes, and then like by the time birthing came, I think they went back to church the next day, even though it was Wednesday. It's probably normal for Utah.
Mormon Sabbath is on a Thursday. You're right. You're right. This isn't even for this, but whatever.
Yeah.
What did you like? What was different about the second time that you watched it?
It was better without subtitles because the ethereal whooshing was gone.
Spooky music.
No, and I liked paying attention to Harper's character more. Just I don't know. It was just good. It was good. It was better, I think, the second time around, and
yeah.
I was picking things out, and her outfit stood out more. I was like, damn, those are good outfits.
Just good outfits.
Rory Kinnear did a great job.
Rory Kinnear is impressive.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna turn these off.
I'm surprised that he's not. I don't know. Did you think anything about like the color schemes? How like London's always orange, and then her outfits were always.
I have kind of thought about it, but I don't know.
I'm bad at crap like that, like visual
what
stuff
it was.
like that.
Yeah.
King Alfred Hitchcock was on to it, man.
Hitchcock
so
knew.
scary.